So I just added the JB weld to the little pinholes in the aluminum just to fill it in. And once I sand this off, number one, it'll sand to like a lighter gray. It'll probably almost match the aluminum color. You won't even see it. And even if you did it, I mean, it's like even smaller than that. I mean, it's like going to be such a small little mark that you're never going to notice it. So that's that. As you can tell, did a lot of work on it today. Bored it. You know, everything looks really, really good for what I started off with. So I'm real happy with it. And when we line it up with the original iron wheel that we had compared to earlier, I think they look pretty darn close. I mean, even if I go like this, so our spokes are in about the same spot, you know, it really did sand out, file out real nice. So going to continue working on it, get that proper sheen. Okay, now I have it pretty much sanded to where I want it. I think about half to 3/4 of it is sanded to 220 grit, and the other 25%, I guess you call it, is still at 100 grit sanding. But what I'm going to do before I get closer to that final finish that I'm looking for is I am going to drill it for the roll pins, or for the roll pin. Typically there's a 3/16 roll pin that would run through the steering wheel, through the steering shaft itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it for 1/4 and put a set screw. I find it's just so much easier with the set screws just to be able to pop the steering wheel off in order to get the hood off and to get, so if I have to service the motor. Plus with the aluminum steering wheel, I think if I had to drive that pin in and out a couple times, it would just blow out the aluminum enough where this thing would start to wobble. So I think it's just best to keep lubricated set screws on either side, and I'll just dimple the the steering shaft in order for those set screws to set in so this thing won't spin or twist on the steering shaft. So I'm going to break out the drill and break out the tabs. Okay, so all the drilling and tapping is complete. I think you can see that the threads are in. The hole is fairly straight. It could have been better, to be honest with you, but with what the tools I'm working with, you know, just backwoods kind of stuff, I think it came out pretty good. Obviously going to need to sand and file the outside to make it mint, but just using my hand drill. And if you've ever used one of these extensions, because I needed to use the extension in order to get beyond the steering wheel, the drill and the tap handle would be hitting the actual steering wheel. So with what I had, it came out mint. We're going to go ahead and finish up the finish on it, and I'll probably glass bead it real quick. All right, well, this is about as close as I'm going to get it for now. Basically, I glass beaded it, and I didn't like the sheen, so what I did was I hit it with a piece of red Scotch-Brite, and then I just hit it with some mother's polish with a paper towel, and I think that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to hit this with some red Scotch-Brite again because there's some sanding scratches that you can really see that are pretty deep, so I'll just knock them down. But then I'm just going to go over the entire wheel with the mothers lightly. I'm not going to look for super duper polish, but the set screw holes, as you can see, are in. Everything looks pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with it, considering what I started with. And you can't, there's no originals out there for sale. I mean, there's just no way. So I'm going to continue just finishing it up, and we'll be done in just, hopefully, a couple more hours. Well, there you go, guys. This steering wheel is done. I think it came out pretty good compared to what I started with. I mean, I started off with that ridiculously rough casted wheel, and I finished up with this, which I think overall came out pretty good. I mean, it's going to look nice on the tractor. You know, everything's all filed and sanded and scuffed, and I think I got the right sheen for it to make it look the best that it can look. So I hope you enjoyed the process, and we're going to be moving on.